What can reading blood work the way I've taught you do for you in your practice? Well, here's what Hillary has to say days after attending the Master Blood Work Live event. Quote, I have had 3 patients now, and one's coming in next week to read their blood work. I charge $425. I work up the protocols, and my patients are so happy with the supplements and service. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It is a game changer. Just wanted to send you a positive, happy note to make your day. This is just the tip of the iceberg, I feel. Hillary is not the only one. Connie introduced the same blood work reading for her current patients, and within days of introducing the new service, she was booked out 2 months. Danny jumped on a YouTube channel with another person, and within hours of that YouTube video going live, she had over 80 people reach out. And within the next week, I believe she said it was up to 150. Margaret has recently doubled her prices, so she's not resenting it anymore. These are just a few examples. What can it do for you? Come see what it's all about at my next live and free workshop, August 30th. Get all the details at drkylieburton.com/free-workshop. And that workshop is just for you practitioners. This podcast is sponsored by my favorite supplement companies, Systemic Formulas and My Biome. Come join me inside their private Facebook group for practitioners called Systemic Formulas Clinical Nutrition. All right, let's get started so you can have more freedom, more impact, and more income. Here we go. Welcome to the Beyond the Diagnosis podcast with me, Dr. Kylie. Today is a Thursday episode, which means it's for you practitioners, but really anybody can tune into this because today's topic is all about trust and trusting in ourselves, trusting in our gut, trusting ourselves to take that next leap into building our practice, building our business, having more impact, and really whatever it is that you're doing, trusting ourselves. And Jen Poulson is here with us today to help us do that. So welcome on, Jen.
Hey, everyone.
Jen, if you haven't heard, she comes into the 90-day program mastermind members and helps us with our mindset and our emotions, getting those blocks out of our way so we can get out of our own way. It's awesome what she's helped me with and what she's helped the members in there with. In fact, last call, we had a lot of mindset blocks come up. We had some really brave individuals share what goes on in between their ears. And the more we talk about on these Thursday episodes, how important this mindset is. So today's topic is all about trust.
Yes. Trust is something that's probably one of the biggest, things that people feel insecure about, especially when you're starting a business, when you're starting, something new. Second guessing ourselves is a very common, subconscious fight or flight response. It's a protective response to second guess ourselves because our subconscious brain wants to protect us from rejection, wants to protect us from getting hurt, wants to protect us from feeling stupid, wants to protect us. So what happens is we start questioning our gut, our intuition, our inspiration, our brilliant ideas, and then this battle starts to happen within. You know what that's about, right? I know what that's about.
Yeah, for sure. We make a decision and it's like, oh crap, what did I just do? Or should I? I think a lot of the decisions come when we're faced with accepting a patient scenario. Like, for example, I had one recently where they reached out and young, 32 years old, same age as myself, as a wife, because her husband, same age, very healthy guy, was having seizures. And I think, holy crap, seizures. I don't know if I want to take that one on. They had been to the neurologist, the cardiologist, every ologist known to mankind, and yet nobody could figure out why these seizures were occurring. And I was, again, trusting I wasn't trusting myself in taking on that case at this point. So I was started to call colleagues, called 3 different colleagues actually, as like, hey, I have this person. I want to give them to you. But all 3 of them told me no. So fine, I'll do
You got
it.
a sign. You are the
Yeah.
one.
So just went back to my knowledge. Okay, what do I know? I know that I don't care about diagnoses. I don't care about symptoms, even though this symptom seems to be like a really major one. I'm going to go back to the blood work. I'm going to see what's in there, and I'm going to treat it like everything else I've treated it.
Love it.
This is now, I think we're 2 months in past this treatment plan. And really the only thing that I found in his blood work was unstabilized blood sugar. Every time a seizure happened, his blood sugar would skyrocket.
Oh,
And we're still working on the why. And then the other part was his eosinophil count was like 11. And they'd seen that number. So throughout all of his testing, he had done all of the environmental allergies and all the food allergy testing, and it all had come back completely clear, which is very unusual nowadays,
yeah.
especially. So they were all puzzled, like, why is this number so high? And yet all these markers are completely negative and in the green. And in my world, I'm like, okay, if that's ruled out, then they're very healthy. Like, I was very impressed with their ability to, talk about mold and water and all the aspects of health. Cause that in my mind was immediately, okay, it's a mold reaction. But no, they cleared that possibility out already. So right now we're doing blood sugar stabilization and parasite destruction. And then the key phrase with his lifestyle was, I work around power lines and generators. And I was like, oh man, I think that's a big piece of the puzzle.
Oh, interesting.
So we've got some protective barriers. I just started off with like a wrist bracelet. And then he hasn't been doing it for a little while, because if he hits a seizure while he's up on that power line,
Not good.
no bueno. So
Well,
anyways, I trusted my gut and I just went back to what I knew and what I've become extremely good at and went
I
with
love
it.
that.
There's been some bumps along the way, but there's been some good things too.
And
So
I love
trust.
I love how you got yourself back there. I'm like, you're consistent in doing your inner work, right? So you got to the point, and this is where, all of your people can look to you as an example of this. Is like, okay, you doubted yourself. You're a human being, right? We all do that, no matter, how much money we make, how successful we are, how many success stories there are. We have those moments where we doubt ourselves, but then you went back to, okay, what do I know? And you calmed your nervous system down. And that's kind of like, that's such a perfect example of like what the process is, of like getting back reconnected to yourself and your purpose, why you do what you do. And it's such a powerful mindset tool. And the reason it worked so well for you is because you've worked through you know, a lot of your stuff, and you continue to do that. And so another thing that I thought about too, as we're working with the people that you're training on how to read labs and add this into their businesses, as people put themselves out there more. And I've noticed, more of your clients are making videos. And I know a lot of times it's like you put something out there, you put a video out there, and then the fear starts to set in, or oh my gosh, should I have done that? Did I sound stupid? Like you start to question yourself, and your subconscious starts to kick in after you take a significant action step. And so that's something to recognize too. When you recognize it, you can stop the spiraling part. But as you were talking, I had some affirmations come up that want to clear, and I want to connect everyone on this listening to this call. Remember that when we question ourselves, when we don't trust ourselves, that comes from some childhood programming, right? Like a lot of times we might hear our parents or other adults say, you got to be careful. Don't do that. Why did you do that? That's not safe. All the things we tell kids. A lot of times it's just our own fears.
I know. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old right now. And every time I talk to you, I'm like, oh, crap. What messaging are they getting?
Everything is repairable. That is
Yeah, now that I'm 32.
Yeah, but you're getting started so much younger than a lot of people do, So anyway, but so let's just everyone take a nice deep breath and think about the things in your life that you're not trusting yourself on. And if you're saying, oh no, I trust myself, then I want you to ask yourself the question, what action steps are you not taking? Because you can find little things going on in your business. Are you asking for the sale? Are you doing follow-ups? Are you putting yourself out there so people know what you're doing? Are you doing that consistently? Are you, just how well are you and consistently are you putting yourself out there? If you feel like, oh, I could do more, why aren't I doing more? Then that's just a little indication that, there might be a little disconnect in trusting yourself. So it's okay to recognize and acknowledge that. You just want to take a nice deep breath, and we're going to have the intention of releasing that, because all that is stuck energy from some old, comment that you heard as a kid, that you don't have to live out in your life as an adult, right? So take a breath on that, and let's connect everyone to a few simple affirmations that are going to give you a new belief system about trusting yourself. So first one is, I am safe. I just want you to say that, breathe that in. I am safe, because our subconscious belief system thinks that we're not safe, right? So we have to reprogram it, give it an upgrade. I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe being a practitioner. I'm safe sharing with people what I offer. I'm safe asking to be paid well, for my expertise. Everything is safe. Okay, that's the first message we're giving your brain. The next one is, I am capable. And being capable has nothing to do with your amount of knowledge that you have, right? Nobody knows everything, right? That learning and growing is just a process. We're all in the middle of it. But when you understand and trust that you're capable, then that will give you a lot of confidence. It's kind of like what Dr. Kylie went back and explained, hey, I know how to look at the labs. I know how to get to the roots. I know how to see the imbalances. She knows what she's capable of. She just went back to that. So everyone take a breath on that. I am capable. I love the next one. I am smart enough. Being smart does not mean you know all the answers. And I think I've kind of noticed in the practitioners group, that some people think that they need to know all the answers. And puts a lot of pressure on yourself, and then you start to doubt yourself and not trust yourself. And so we just want to release that energy of that you have to know everything. You don't. You're smart enough to figure it out.
With that too, Jen, when it comes to smart enough, it's the comparison.
Yeah.
I know for me, it's well, if I only had his brain, if I only had his experience. And there's two. I remember when I was an assistant to Dr. Jerry Duggar, who's been on this podcast. I always thought, how am I ever going to reach his status? How am I ever going to know what he knows? Well, I was comparing my chapter 1 to his chapter
Right.
20. And then it became, Dr. Greg Mojan, who's also come on this podcast several times, and I've worked with him one-on-one. And now we're colleagues. We shoot each other messages and questions back and forth all the time. But it's a comparison of, well, compared to her or compared to them, compared to him, I don't know much. But here's the thing. Just with that story about the seizures, funny thing is I had like 4 people with seizures that week. That was just one of them. And I don't know what happened with the energy, but people with seizures were attracted to me. And the idea of it for me was, I'm going to go back to what I know, because that's what I know. And for one, that's what I'm extremely good at. I want to be the expert in this, not the person that knows a little bit of everything. I call them the person, the jack of all trades. If you're going to hire someone to come help build your house, you're going to build an electrician, you're going to hire a plumber, you're going to hire a framer, you're going to hire, but these are all pieces that are needed to build the house. The plumber doesn't know what the framer knows, and the electrician doesn't know what the plumber knows. Like, why do us as practitioners feel like we have to know everything in every aspect? We shouldn't. And yet we put that weight upon our shoulders.
And now we can
And
let
as soon
it
as you
go.
release it and realize, like yesterday, there was a comment on the social media page that said, I want to know details about Epstein-Barr virus. And at first I took it like a little personal hit, because I've shared a lot about Epstein-Barr virus, but again, it's just it's the basics. I don't go into that one virus in detail, really, in anything. And that's what this person was wanting. So I could have jumped in and said like, oh, well, I've taught you some things, And no, it's not about, for first it was like, oh, like trusting in myself, trusting in my knowledge, trusting in my experience. And then I realized once I came back around and I said, yeah, I trust in myself, my knowledge, and my experience. She's just wanting a little bit more. And I don't have that to offer because I haven't delved into that niche specifically. When it comes to blood work, though, like that's my jam. So trusting in ourselves and not comparing us against other practitioners, especially. Whether it be because of their smarts or all the stuff that they know, or whether it be because of the success that we see that they're having.
Love that. The next affirmation I have for everyone is, I know enough. Okay.
Perfect.
And even if you don't know specific details, you know enough to find out more information if you need more information. Like, kind of goes back to, the art, what we've been talking about this whole time is like, just trusting that everything is going to come. Everything you need will come. Everything you need to figure out, you'll be able to figure out. Which leads me to the next affirmation is, I don't know if this is a word. Everything is figure outable. Is that a word? I'm making it a word.
It is now.
Everything is figure outable. It's one of the things that you can recognize when you're in the middle of like, oh man, you're feeling really stumped about something. What is your head talk in that moment? Are you beating yourself up? Are you questioning, what am I doing this? Who do I think I am? Take a step back, let those things go, and just be like, okay, how am I going to figure this out? Who do I know? What resources do I have? Sometimes it's like just being still enough and letting the answer come. But when we're distracted by all the, head talk, nothing can get through. So that's a really powerful mindset tip right there, is just stop and be still for a minute and just have that intention of being open to receiving. And then it's like, you can get moving again.
Yeah. Jim, before we move on to the next affirmation, the one concept that popped into my mind was I talked to so many people who are, they've been a chiropractor for 25 years and they don't want to do chiropractic anymore. But yet they're so terrified that that's their identity. That's who they are. That's what they do. How can they do something else? How can they pivot to something else? And part of everything is figure outable. If you want to figure out how to take that leap, you have to let something go. And that can be difficult. So, for example, I was working with a chiropractor this past week, helping her navigate how do I go from $5 appointments for 40 hours a week and being booked out for a month in advance with those, yet I'm working 10-hour days. How do I go from that to more of a combined chiropractic functional medicine with 30-minute appointments where I'm doing blood work and programs, and she was really hesitant to let some of those patients go, to let some of those scheduling aspects go. And I was like, well, what? We want you to be a mom. You have 3 kids left at home. 2 of them have already gone. Let's get your schedule fine-tuned so you're home when they go to school and you're home when they get home from school. Do you think that's possible? She's like, oh, that's a dream. Let's make the dream a reality. But you're going to have to let some of this stuff go. When you get rid of insurance, you're going to lose some patients. It's okay. But you're going to mold into this new journey, this new you, this new lifestyle, and making those sacrifices, figuring out what needs to be, what's required is going to be totally worth it for you and the patients you continue to work with.
Okay, I love that.
So don't be afraid to take that leap and figure stuff out and not be afraid and trust in what you have to let go for something new to arrive.
I'm really glad.
And I've experienced the same thing. I get messages daily. Hey, can you please read my labs? I just want you to read my labs. I don't want anybody else to read my labs. Yeah, I could take that on, but I have no energy for it anymore. And I love what I'm doing with the practitioner. So I've just had to let that go and suggest, hey, I have these practitioners now that I've trained. I would love to get you connected with the right one.
I love it. So good. As you were talking,
but you have to let something go.
As you were talking, I was this affirmation came to me as like, I am open to the journey and new possibilities. And it's easy. It's easy to let go of, let's just say, what's not for my highest good. And it's not that what you're letting go of is bad. It's just not serving you as well as it, as something else could be. And so to everyone, take a breath on that if you're feeling that. And the next affirmation I wrote down is, I am coachable. And you guys are so lucky to be able to have Dr. Kylie coaching you through this process, because there's, she's farther down the road than you are. She's not attached emotionally to, your business. So she is able to see more possibilities, and she's able to help you create a new vision of what's possible. And that is the power of having a coach and having a community that's, doing the same thing together,
Well, I experienced that right out of school. I hired Greg Mojon as my coach. Literally like months after I opened up my practice. One of those moments where God just literally put him in my life in a random restaurant in Utah County at the same time. And he said to me, he's like, well, what are you going to do when you have a baby? You're just going to shut your practice down for 6 months? No, I can't do that. Let me teach you this world of virtual. As a chiropractic student right out of school, that was the only thing I knew. I only knew chiropractic. Adjust. And he put this light bulb into my head like, wait a second. I can do virtual health coaching. And then I went virtual and then COVID hit. That's the thing to do. But I had no idea that there were possibilities like that, which is why mentors and coaches are so helpful, because they can see more than the box that we've put ourselves into.
And remember, when you feel resistant to being coached, that is your subconscious trying to protect you. And you might be having thoughts about, oh, it costs so much money. It's going to take time. It feels uncomfortable. I don't know if anyone's going to want me. Like all these things like start surfacing usually when it's the right thing to do in the right direction. So notice the resistance that you have. But then, and doing this work to get releasing, this old energy and these old patterns are going to help you be more in tune with your trusting yourself and your intuition. Remember to go back to those initial feelings before all the head started to kick in. Like, what is your heart really like leaning towards? Super important. And then be coachable, like get the support. That's going to change everything. And then the last affirmation that I have is really what you said earlier, Kylie, is I trust in myself, my knowledge, and experience. Everyone take a nice deep breath on that. And I think that's a beautiful way to, end like this part of the conversation, just I trust myself, my knowledge, and my experience. Big breath. Feels good.
I just want to leave people breathe that into you. Like say that over and over again. I trust in myself, my knowledge, and my experience. And that's a wrap.
Love it.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
All right, you have more tools now. Go out and change the world. Make your impact, make your mark, and let's change lives together. This podcast is sponsored by my favorite supplement company, Systemic Formulas and My Biome. If you're not using them in your practice, you should be. Come join me inside their private Facebook group for practitioners called Systemic Formulas Clinical Nutrition. I'll see you in the Facebook group, and I'll see you on the next live and free workshop, August 30th. I'm here to help. Dr. Kylie.